Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Jungle Show. Today, we're here to recap Auburn's big-time win over Texas Southern to improve to 4-0 by a score of 72-56. Big-time second-half effort from the Auburn Tigers. Once again, we did the live watch party for the Jungle Show during the first half of this game. Didn't really work out in our favor in terms of Auburn basketball performing while we were alive, but they were able to pick it up in the second half and get a big win over Texas Southern. We'll also preview the upcoming games on Tuesday and Wednesday in the Cancun Challenge, and then maybe talk a little bit about Sunday's game against St. Louis back in Neville Arena. All that and more next on The Jungle Show. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of The Jungle Show. Today, here to recap Auburn's big win over Texas Southern and then preview the Cancun Challenge. And to do that, I brought in my dad and co-host once again. Dad, how are you doing? We're in the same room again.
We are in the same room, and I'm going to look at the camera. It's 72-56. We did the watch party, and I enjoy doing the watch party. And I think we need to continue to do watch parties.
I like it, yeah.
But it was a struggle. We ended up going into halftime up 2, which we were ahead. Texas Southern has a really good coach. He was a good coach at LSU. He had a good plan in place to give us fits.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the depth, obviously, and that's what we do have.
Yeah.
Although it hurt, I think, not having Janai Broome play that evening.
Yeah,
I think that hurt, and we ended up seeing some really weird combinations that we talked a little bit about on the watch party, but we'll see. We'll see how we do away from Neville Arena. A long ways away from Neville Arena, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Auburn going to Cancun. Just a few things to point out before we start talking about this Texas Southern game, because I want to just go through that as swiftly as possible. That way we can talk about the Cancun Challenge. This is a pre-recorded episode, as we are not live currently, at least. This will go out in a few hours to where we were recording this. Yeah. Will go out tonight, Monday night. That way it'll be live well before Auburn plays on Tuesday afternoon against Bradley. Interesting matchup.
They used to be the Braves. They're not the Braves anymore. They're some sort of
I don't know.
Dragon or I don't know.
So getting into talking about this Auburn versus Texas Southern matchup. Again, yes, we did the watch party during the first half, and the first half score was 29-27. Now that is better than when we did the watch party the Friday before.
We were behind
when we were behind by 9 going into that half. That was not as much fun, but Auburn in the first half did struggle, especially offensively, had no continuity whatsoever. Shot 3 from 15 in the first half, and in the second half, shot 4 of 12. I mean, that's a considerably better percentage just off of that. But in the first half, 11 turnovers for each team. I mean, Texas Southern went 1 of 7 from 3. They shot 14% in the first half. It just looked like no offense. The only offense was off of scramble plays, loose balls, offensive rebounds. It just didn't look like there was any movement to the game whatsoever. And that's when we were going live and whatever. But a much better second half performance from Auburn. What did you see in the first half that maybe showed some signs of some problems here for this Auburn basketball team?
I saw Texas Southern coach come out and say, number one's not going to beat me. He made sure that they were doing everything they could to make sure that one didn't beat them, because obviously one's our best player so far this year.
Yeah.
I like what I saw from Jalen as far as his aggressiveness, I thought he was much more aggressive in this game, taking the ball to the hoop, rebounding. Finally got to see him knock down a couple threes, or at least one.
Yes.
So I liked what I saw from Jalen. And Chris Moore came on in the second half, but he played great. The rotations in the first half is what I thought was weird. So we had, at one point, I believe it was Jalen at the 5, Traore at the 4. Was it Flanagan at the 3?
KD at the 2.
KD at the 2 and Zepp at the 1. And that's a weird rotation. And Bruce has said he's going to use these early games to kind of see who plays better with who. But that was just one of those that I was like, this is a weird rotation.
Yeah, and a lot of that had to do with Janai Broome being out for this game. Yeah. And it showed offensively, especially in the first half, that there was no continuity. There was nobody to go get the ball, go score a basket, because they were shutting down somebody like Wendell Green. They were not going to, just like you said, they were not going to let number 1 beat them. And then there was no Janai Broome. So Auburn had to kind of scramble a little bit in that first half, tried out multiple different lineups. The Traore and Jalen, I like both of those two on the floor at the same time, struggled rebounding when that happened, and then struggled with a little bit of big man defense when that happened. Although, and we're going to talk about, we're going to get into our players of the game. I'm just going to say it right now. My player of the game was Jalen Williams. It wasn't even close, in my opinion. He had 14 and 8. He had 4 assists, and he was outstanding on the defensive end.
He played a great game. You were talking about struggling in the interior defense. Babatunde Akimbola Stretch got a lot of run in this game because we didn't have Janai Broome. Babatunde, I love the kid. I dearly love him. Mm-hmm. I think he somebody on Twitter asked me if I thought it was worth it what he provided the team, and he provides them leadership. He's a senior. He's been there, done that. Yeah. He's an Auburn man through and through, because he could have gone anywhere lower level and played
for sure. But
he has stuck with Auburn. So I think he's a really good locker room guy is what I think he does. So he played 8 minutes, was -8 plus minus, did end up with a block and a personal foul, but that's about it. He was 0 of 3 field goals. I don't know. He just doesn't look like all the parts fit real well. And I love him.
Yeah.
But just in a game like this, he did a serviceable job coming in so Dylan could get a rest. And we were watching the game, and that's when that lineup switch, when he came back off the floor, but it wasn't Dylan that came back in. They weren't flip-flopping them. It was Jalen that moved to the 5, and they stuck Traore at the 4, which, again, he's playing with different combinations. So I thought KD played his best game of the year.
I was just about to bring up KD. It was so good to not only see him make an outside shot, but more than one outside shot. And look like early last season KD. Towards the end of last season, I think after that Mississippi State game where he had 12 points in that overtime in the SEC championship clinching win.
Yeah.
I think right after then, he really struggled offensively. Hit against Jacksonville State in the first game of the tournament. He had a good offensive game, but really just didn't look like himself, especially against Texas A&M. But that's a running joke now. But
0-14.
He finally looked like himself. He finally looked like the KD that we fell in love with at the beginning of last year, and it was great to see. He scored 16 points, led us in scoring. So.
He and I see people on Twitter all the time talking about how if he's on your team, he's one of your favorite players. If he's not on your team, you hate the guy because he's so emotional. He's so expressive.
Yeah.
And he got a technical in the Texas Southern game because he was running his mouth at the guy who was dribbling up court on it. So I I would like to know what was said, but I don't think I'll know what was said. You all right over there? You dropped about 3 inches.
I did.
Your chair messed up.
Yeah.
But KD ended up with 16 points, made 2 of 5 from 3. I'll take that every game. 6 of 7 from the free throw line. Had 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. That's about what you're going to get, and only have 1 steal. I think he probably will bump that number.
He'll average more than 1 steal.
But but you're not going to get a lot of positive turnover ratio with KD.
Yeah,
he just plays fast. He's going to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
So but if he can make 40% from 3, I'd take it every game.
Yeah,
every
100%.
game.
So one more guy I want to talk about before we get into it. I know the guy that you're wanting to talk about later on, but I want to talk about Chance Westry first. So Chance in this game scores 5 points. He goes 0 for 2 from 3, has 3 assists, has 1 turnover in his 17 minutes. He got 17 minutes in his first game, gets 17 minutes in this one. It seems like that's about where he's going to fit in unless he, starts becoming an All-American.
Unless he gets hot, yeah.
I still wouldn't pump the brakes on he's not a good shooter yet, though.
Oh, no.
He's yes, he's 0 of 2 in this game. I think he went 0 of 2 or 0 of 3 in the
from
Winthrop game. Yeah, from outside. But he's just now getting into that flow. And I would say the exact same thing about about Yohan Traore, who got in foul trouble in this game, he was a non-factor offensively, went 0 of 1 from 3, had 0 points, and only had 1 rebound. He only had 12 minutes because he was in foul trouble. Yeah. And I would just pump the brakes on, like, these freshmen aren't making these impacts that we saw how a freshman could impact the game last year with Jabari. These guys aren't Jabari, but just let them grow into their roles, because there are guys in front of those guys right now. Chance Westry, whether you slot him at point guard, shooting guard, or small forward, which he can play all three, there are all 3 guys who I'd probably rather have on the court right now.
Yeah.
And Traore,
some of them have 2 guys in front of him.
Exactly. Traore, the exact same way. I would much rather have Jalen Williams on the court right now. So just give them time.
And I never thought I'd say this about Auburn basketball. We're a little spoiled. Jabari Smith spoiled you.
Yeah.
I say you, collective you, all of us, because he was special. He came in as a pro player last year. He could very easily have gone from high school to professional.
Yeah.
He didn't. He came in and played a year in college and started off completely no rough edges. His game was polished.
Yeah.
These guys, Traore's only been playing a couple years at all. So he's going to take a little longer. I think Chance is the type of athlete that's going to figure it out. His shots are going to go in. I was telling you, Gray, earlier today, and I think I tweeted it last night. I watched a lot of basketball this weekend, a lot of college basketball this weekend. And there are not many teams, if any, that are shooting the 3 well right now. So I know that's our big concern. I know everybody's like, oh my gosh, we can't make 3-pointers.
Nobody can.
Arkansas is not making them. They're playing right now.
Yeah.
They weren't making them. We were watching them. Louisville definitely wasn't making them. Kentucky went 0 for 9 in the first half and ended up making 2 for 12 or something against Gonzaga.
It doesn't count.
Yeah, I know. Ty wasn't there. Gonzaga, a better team than I thought they were. They weren't making them consistently. Wide open. They're wide open threes. They're good shots.
Look at the top of the college basketball. You talked about Gonzaga. You talked about Kentucky, Houston, UCLA, North Carolina.
I watched the UCLA
Michigan State,
game.
Baylor. All these teams are not shooting well from 3.
They're just not.
It's going to come. It's going to come.
It's one of those things.
And Auburn is one of those teams.
Just has to. You got to get into the flow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not. I don't even see it as a red flag. It may be a yellow flag so far of just make sure we can make them.
Yeah.
And we've got guys on the team that if you'll watch them during warmups, they're knocking them down all over the place. So they can make them.
Yeah.
But when you're in a game, everything is sped up,
Yeah,
and it takes a while to get used to that speed again,
especially those freshmen.
Yeah, especially. So what you're saying about West Street, I think is accurate. He needs to, in my opinion, needs to drive and dish. He's excellent at that, and let his offensive game come to him.
Yeah.
Play defense, learn how to play defense the way Bruce Pearl wants you to play.
Yeah.
And let the offense come. It'll come.
Yeah.
He's too 100%. Good of an athlete not to get it. And he's 6'6". So he's going to be playing against smaller guys. He's going to get open looks.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So I'm not worried about him.
So talking about some of the shooting struggles, let's just immediately move into the guy who looked like the best shooter on the floor.
Yes, he did.
On Friday night against Texas Southern. Chris Moore was outstanding.
Where was that been?
He had one game last year at the very beginning of the year where he had like 16 points and 3 or 4 rebounds. It was like, whoa, off the bench. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then he just tailed off and was never, barely saw the floor at the end of last year. He comes out today starting. We haven't seen him be a big factor offensively. He was probably our biggest factor offensively in this game. 14 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, has 7 rebounds, 3 assists in just 22 minutes.
A block and a steal. He completely filled the stat sheet.
Outstanding game from Chris Moore. Outstanding game from Chris Moore. Yeah, if Jalen didn't have such a good defensive game, Chris Moore's my player of the game. But, I mean, I can't not pick the Swiss Army knife. But I'm assuming you're going to pick Chris Moore.
So Chris Moore is that guy right now who, look, he played center or power forward in high school.
Yeah.
He comes to Auburn, and he's not a center or power forward. He's not big enough.
Yeah.
He can jump out of the gym. He's built like an Adonis. He's a huge, strong kid.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he comes out with that 3-point touch.
Yeah.
That we haven't had from that slot.
Yeah.
If he can continue, and I'm not talking about continue 3 or 4, 75%. If he could shoot 35% from there, and take 4 or 5 a game, and then, but what he provides, what he started providing towards the end of last year, and is now doing it consistently, is rebounding from the 3. That 3 slot, if he can get, he got what, 7 boards, and he only played 22 minutes. He's +8. So if he can keep rebounding and he's another energy guy.
Yep.
He's big time, getting excited, getting pumped up, getting the crowd pumped up.
Yeah.
I think that he may develop into a solid, in my opinion, still going to be a backup for Alan Flanagan. I think as Alan keeps getting into the flow a little bit better, Alan will be that 3.
Yeah.
But if you can go, well, our backup 3 shoots 40% from 3 and rebounds 8 to 10 balls a game.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it every day. And just to be different, I would say Chris Moore is the player of the game with 14.
Okay. Good. No, I completely agree what you're saying. We talk about rebounding from the 3 and scoring from 3. We're getting more from our small forward position so far this year than we hit all of last year.
Yeah.
Because last year it was Flanagan who really, really struggled, especially stretches last year. And then Devin Cambridge, who also really, really struggled in stretches of games last year. They were both good rebounders. We never got what we thought we were going to get from those two. So, I mean, again, a huge game from somebody like Chris. Just like you said, it always going to come down to consistency from here on out, especially not just with Chris, but with Allen as well. And the remaining being threats at the 3.
Hopefully that takes his confidence, his shooting confidence, and increases it.
Yeah.
He look again. He's a junior this year, I guess. So he's 3 years out of high school, and in high school he played center and power forward, and he's trying to play the 2-3 in college. It is a different position. As you know, Gray, you went from youth basketball being the biggest, strongest guy out there to junior high and middle school and high school being a guard. it's a tough transition to make, and Chris Moore's doing a great job, and he'll be, if he keeps playing like this with the effort that he puts in, I'll take it. He's a good defender too.
100%. So talking a little about just a few seconds about some team stats here. Defensively, Auburn was outstanding this game, only allowed 56 points. Texas Southern only made 1 3 in the entire ball game. They shot 36% from the field, shot 9% from 3, 1 of 11, caused 20 turnovers. I mean, that's outstanding.
Each team turned the ball over 20 times. That's funny.
I mean, the teams. I mean, it just wasn't pretty, especially in the first half.
A pretty game at all.
So this Auburn team, the offense is going to come, the shots are going to fall, especially if players get healthy, like Chance and even somebody like Allen, and they get confidence up. I mean, Wendell Green scored 4 points in this game. He's going to score more than 4 points. He's going to score more than 4 points. He averaged 17 before that in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
So he's going to score more. The defense has been outstanding. You only allowed 56 points to a really good Texas Southern team without your starting center, who's one of the best shot blockers in the country.
Yeah,
it's outstanding.
Yep. I like our defense. Again, that's something that that we see where Bruce has obviously told these guys, you give maximum effort on defense, and when you're tired, I don't worry about it. I've got a guy that's going to come in and replace you, and they can give maximum effort. They switch all 5 slots.
Yep.
I really like to watch Dylan Cardwell on that high screen and roll because he hedges that thing so well.
Yeah.
That they can trap out of that a lot. I think they did once or twice the other night and kind of shocked the guy.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot last season.
He can jump that jump that hedge and trap it and really make a difference.
Yeah, we talked about that a lot in the middle of last season when we saw how good Dylan was at hedging that screen. Kessler hedged the screen, but never was, as aggressive or as quick as somebody like Dylan to get out there.
Dylan's athletic.
Yeah. Dylan's more athletic and, not as long, but long enough to get out there, especially if the guard defending is KD or Zepp or Allen or Chance or Trey or somebody like that. I think you trap that and you take advantage of your size and your athleticism and your aggressiveness, especially if it's KD. I would not want to get trapped by KD Johnson.
I agree.
And Dylan Cardwell. That would be a nightmare.
As long as KD will stop reaching.
Yeah.
When he does reach. He tends to try to take the ball. If you get him in a trap, you just need to get your hands up so they can't see.
Yep.
And then make sure you've got the rotations, which we seem to have on the back end of that trap, to where we're rotating to the players. Where the pass goes, we rotate and help the helper.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to talk a little bit about Auburn in the Cancun Challenge. Last year they were in the Battle for Atlantis, and then the year before they were in the Maui Gym. So this year they play in the Cancun Challenge. They obviously the Winthrop game was a part of the Cancun Challenge. It was just played in Neville Arena. I'm assuming that was like a seeding game. I'm pretty sure, actually. But then the tournament play starts. So they will play 2 games. Auburn will play against Bradley on Tuesday, and then the winner or loser, whichever one, of Liberty and Northwestern on Wednesday. So that'll be interesting to see. I think Bradley is an interesting matchup because that you don't know a lot about Bradley. You'll know a lot more about Liberty and Northwestern when you get to play one of them. Because not only you get to watch them there, but it's going to be hard to find quality ways to beat Bradley more than it's going to be hard for the coaches to find quality ways to beat Northwestern and Liberty, because both of them have had quality games. I mean, Liberty got beat by Alabama. Bad.
Thumped. By Alabama. Bad. 35.
Yeah. And Northwestern, obviously, that's a Big Ten school. That you're going to be able to find ways that you can beat somebody like that. So, it's an interesting dynamic. We'll see what happens. But it'll be super exciting to watch those games. What game are you I'm assuming you're excited about the Bradley game, but who would you rather play, Liberty or Northwestern?
I'd rather play Northwestern because it's more of a name.
That's true.
Team, and so I'd rather get them in the second game. I'm interested in Bradley. They got beat by Utah State, I believe, and beat Southeast Missouri and somebody else. Don't know a lot about them, obviously, but then you get a Northwestern squad who Chris Collins is still the head coach. They're going to be well coached, and I just think it gives you more of a name school, and it doesn't, because if you get Liberty and you beat them by 20, all your Bammers are going to look at you and go, we beat them by 34, and I can't stand that. I can't take that. So I'd rather play.
Going with that.
I'd rather play Northwestern and get a Big Ten school. Yeah, they're not bad. They're not going to be a bad team. They're going to shoot. Is what Chris Collins going to make sure they do, and we'll see. Bradley is tomorrow night at 5 Central, I think. If you haven't seen some of the video from some of the guys in Cancun, looks like they're having fun. Dylan on a water slide, and that's interesting. And then he's making fun of Wynn and saying that the kiddie water slide wasn't available or whatever. So they're having a great time out there. Yeah. These guys are having a blast, and it's so cool to be able to take trips like that because you really, it's just you and the guys.
Yep.
Nobody else with you. I imagine some Auburn fans may have taken a Thanksgiving trip to Cancun. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be packed with people either way.
Yeah.
So go out, shoot well, play hard, keep your defense up, and come away with 2 victories. And then come home and get ready. Buckle the seatbelts. Because I've watched St. Louis play a couple times, and they are good. They've got another point guard this year.
Yuri Collins.
Who's really good.
Yep.
And they've got a guy named Okoro, which listening to them call games, I'm like,
excuse me?
How did they have Okoro? He's playing for the Cavs. So he's a big man. He's good. So that'll be a tough game Sunday in Neville Arena.
Yep.
So
a few things to mention before we wrap this show up. Obviously, the next time we'll be back will be after Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Friday night.
Thursday, enjoy family time, enjoy some football, enjoy some basketball, enjoy watching our future Auburn football head coach on Thursday night in the Egg Bowl, and enjoy Cornell Cadillac Williams
Mike Leach
beating
the coach.
And then enjoy Cadillac Williams going to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama.
I just read, by the way, I think it was Ferguson. I shared it with you before this. Cardinal Williams' next game that he coaches will be against the guy who passed him over in the 2005 draft. So, I'm just saying.
It's not going to happen. We haven't won there since Cam Newton.
We do not have Cam Newton at quarterback.
Cam Newton's not a quarterback. There's a lot of momentum in favor of Auburn.
There really is.
Not of Alabama. Alabama looks very beatable, looks very injured. They have suspended 2 or 3 corners for this game.
If only we had a guy that could throw it to the receivers.
What's a receiver?
I'm just kidding. I love Auburn football, and we'll be glued to the TV Saturday. But this is one of my favorite weeks of the year, by the way. Not only is it Thanksgiving, I get to eat lots and lots of food. It's feast week on ESPN. There are literally basketball games anytime you turn on the TV. Yeah. There's a good one going on net. Well, I bet it's not good anymore. Arkansas and Louisville. Louisville, the first team since 1962 to lose their first 3 games by 1 point each. So you've got a good game going there. You've got games coming on all night. Then you've got games all day tomorrow, including Auburn. So this is if you want to gorge yourself on basketball, this is the week to do it. You get to do it on turkey and on men's basketball. Great week. Yeah. And then the Iron Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's football everywhere. Yeah. The game Saturday will be outstanding.
Yep.
Arkansas is up by 8.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought.
Okay. All right. But we will go ahead and wrap this Jungle Show up, this pre-recorded episode. And we'll be back on Friday to discuss all the Cancun challenge and then preview that big game Sunday against St. Louis. So if you want to find all the amazing stuff happening right now on auburndaily.com, just go there, or at the Auburn Daily on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Gray Oldenburg, or him on Twitter at War Eagle Hoops.